All right, our mission statement: to provide a community where people can be responsible and accountable for meeting their basic needs and to equip them with tools to overcome financial difficulty.
Suzanne, they're kind of flipping through because the next page, I believe, is our the history, the anniversary, the 10-year anniversary in the House of David, and those two. So that's what we just heard.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I should wait till the flipping stops?
Well, I wanted to make sure everybody is on.
Yeah. Get everyone on the same page, right? Thanks, Joey. All right. So our vision: to provide a hand up for every willing working family, working poor family. That's our group, our target group, the working poor. This is who we want to be. This is who we are. Biblically based, honoring Christ in unity. That starts at our board of directors. For us, each one of our board of directors are Christians. That may not be where you're at, but that's where we're at. We're all like-minded in that, and we're all committed in that way to Christ and to the organization. We want to be compassionate and loving. We want to respect the dignity of each individual. And we want to be very aware of good stewardship. And that's stewardship of all things. That's our finances, the things we own, physically own, our relationships. If you manage what you do have well, God seems to provide more. He's really faithful that way. And we want to be above reproach in all that we do. That is a huge challenge in business in general. But we're people. We have a lot of personal challenges, and so we want to be above reproach in our business dealings, our personal dealings. We don't want to be people who compromise. And every day you're going to be put in a situation where you will be asked to compromise in what you do. So a lot of times we have to say, well, that really sounds appealing, but it's really not who we are. And so we're not going to go that direction. We want to provide a community for people. We want to educate and equip them. We want to teach them to be self-sufficient and to stress accountability and responsibility. Last spring, I was approached by a gentleman that I had been talking about doing some business, and he said, I have to tell you about an article I read. And he sent it to me. This article, The Dignity of the Exchange, it's not called exactly that in your notebook, but it refers to The Dignity of the Exchange by Robert Lupton. It was a presentation he gave at one of the colleges near Warner Pacific. And it's pretty amazing. He also wrote a book called Toxic Charity, which we have, and I actually started but haven't finished reading. He said, and this is a quote from him, he said, "What I had not seen before was how human dignity was eroded through the process of one-way giving. It subtly communicated to the recipients, you have nothing of value to which I desire in return. Just be grateful. So I'm going to give you something, and you have to say thank you." People are devalued when they are denied the opportunity to give back, because everyone has something of value to give. Lupton also said, one-way charity almost always caused people to be unmotivated and dependent, whereas partnerships enhance their sense of entrepreneurism. We have found this to be true. He has some really interesting ideas in how he has operated charities. And when you read that article in your notebook, you'll you'll be kind of amazed. And you're all right there with us. We're all like-minded in this, so I think you'll really enjoy that. But that phrase really stuck with me, the dignity of the exchange. We really want to have people retain their dignity. One of the things we work hard at is sustainability. Sustainability on several levels. We are sustainable financially. And what I'm going to show you here are some numbers from last fiscal year. It's just a general pie chart. Our CPA is probably going to want more than that. Where is she? There she is. Yeah. And I love that about you, by the way. Yeah, this is just a general feel of where you can see what our income is based on. When we say that we are a $10 million corporation, you can see what that $10 million comes from, or where it comes from. The service fee, the $50 a month, provides our rent, utilities, gasoline, our basic operational expenses. That $50 a month is the dignity of the exchange, right? People are giving back. They are part of paying the rent. It's pretty important. Our in-kind donations, let's see, product donations, and that's a huge piece of the pie. So our service fees there are in blue, $430,000 last year. But our in-kind donations, $8,655,520. That's how it translates at $1.50 a pound. And that's from over 100 donors, including Costco, Danner, Pepsi, Harry's. You saw the stuff that was coming in a lot yesterday. Well, you didn't see all the stuff, but you saw some of the stuff coming in yesterday. Pretty fun. Our volunteer label, that little purple piece of the pie, that translates into about $228,000. That's 30,000 hours per year, equal to about 12 full-time employees. So we took all our volunteers away. We could have 12 full-time employees do what they do. Wouldn't be near as much fun. We love all that interaction with the volunteers, but that's what that piece of the pie looks like. See that little tiny red slice there? Cash contributions, $115,000 in cash. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? That's not very much for an organization like this. We haven't been very good at the fundraising part.
So that includes your grants also?
No, that does not include grants, but that's just, if you send us $50 or $100, that's where it would go. That's personal or business donations just in cash. For the first time, especially after attending the Murdoch seminar, we're considering getting a development director. It's a big deal for us. And Murdoch has agreed to read our grant if we write another one. That's a big process. You have to submit a letter of intent. So even before we submitted a letter of intent, we went and asked them and said, would you receive our letter of intent that says we intend to write a grant? And it's a big deal. We met with one of the bigwigs down there because we're basically going to ask them for over $200,000 to fund a development director. That's a whole different deal, a development director. We're going to call him a manager because a director doesn't seem like a good title for us because we're not big into titles. And we don't want someone to come in all kind of huffy and think that they are going to tell us what to do. So we want the wisdom without the attitude, basically. So we'll be writing a grant for that. Pardon me?
Development light.
Yeah, exactly. And just as an aside, in our board meeting when we talked about this, there was quite a bit of conflict. Do we hire someone for $50,000 a year because that's really more in tune with who we are, and and let them learn about us and kind of move through that way? Or do we hire someone for $100,000 a year, which is kind of the going rate? Excuse me, yes?
Whenever you're ready for a question, I have one.
Oh, okay. When we get to $100,000, Murdoch, we received $50,000 from Walmart. And we have that very cool Sprinter van, is it here? Yeah, parked out here, replacing Van Gogh. Van Gogh was getting, on a good day, 5 miles per gallon in gas. And just a good size, but oh my goodness, thing's so cranky. And broke down a lot and was just been kind of a pain. So we wrote a grant to Walmart. They turned us down 3 times, or twice, and they approved the 3rd time. And I do have to say this just because it's fun, a funny story, and it's kind of a fun thing to relate to you. But Walmart came into town and did all these seminars. They're giving money all over the place, especially to food-related agencies. So we were told by someone who said, we asked for $25,000 and they gave us $50,000. You need to go. I mean, you're a natural. Go ask Walmart for money. And ask for the moon, because they're giving billions of dollars. And so we wrote out this grant. We had the best time writing out the grant as to, let's get this. I said, Andrew, what do you want? He said, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want one of those little cars, that we could drive around when we go see people. Yeah, it was just like we threw everything in there that we could think of. It was about $500,000 when we were done. Not quite, but 400 and some. And submitted it thinking, well, they're going to pick and choose and decide what they want to give us, right? We got an email that said, thanks, but no thanks, we're rejecting you. And it said, don't call us and ask us why. We won't tell you, because they have so many people applying for grants. But then I got a phone call from Jennifer Spall, and she said, I just had to call and ask you. Basically what she was saying is, where did you get the guts to ask for that much money? And I just backpedaled all over the place and said, you know what? I am so sorry. I approached it from the concept that you would pick and choose what you wanted to fund. Obviously, that was a bad idea. And could we have another chance? And she said, well, yeah, but you need to realize you cannot ask for a grant that is very close to your whole year's operating budget. It's just not going to work. No one is going to give you that. And it's like, okay, thank you very much. It was a very humbling experience. One other thing on grants, too, because David is going to talk about grants and I'm not, but if they give you $10,000 and you tell them that you are going to do this, this, and this with $10,000, you have to spend the $10,000 there. I found we'd written a grant on our educational programs, and I found people to teach the classes for free, so I didn't spend the money on teachers. Oh my goodness. I really got reamed on that one by the grantors, and the woman said, do not ask us for a grant this year or next year. And I kind of got the impression, maybe never. And you better get us some kind of accounting to where you spent that money. And I was saying, gee, I just thought we were being good stewards and that we could stretch it out into 2 years instead of 1. She said, that's not going to work. So, my frugal mentality did not do me well in that. But that's just kind of a heads up on that. So anyway, $200,000, over $200 this year in grants. Our expenses. This, I think, is so impressive. It really delights me to show you this. $275,000 is a year's wages and benefits to our employees. That is That's 10 employees, including myself. And that's 4 full-time and 6 part-time employees. So you can tell no one's making big bucks here, and that's okay. The warehouse costs, right there, $190,000. That includes our rent, which is pretty big, about $11,000 a month is what our rent is for that big warehouse. And then the miscellaneous, which includes depreciation, fuel, equipment, etc. So financially, we're very sustainable. We're not spending a lot of money. Our budget, yes, ma'am.
Back on revenue, how do you value donations in kind? Is that the weight times some factor?
The weight times $1.50 a pound. And that's a little bit lower than what you would get, say, if you went to the Oregon Food Bank. I think they average $1.60. But we are conservatives, so we don't want to puff ourselves up more than we need to. All right. We are sustainable environmentally. We have 2 community gardens. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. We're through our energy usage. 2 years ago, our landlord redid all of our lighting to be more efficient, so you could tell when you walked into the warehouse that the lights weren't on all the time. They just are motion sensitive, so that made a big difference. Our landlord did that because he's just really cool. Basically, we asked him, and he said yeah, so that was pretty amazing. And the process of renovating our refrigeration and freezers is a big deal, we hope. Those things just ran and ran and ran and ran, and well, when they weren't running, they ran when they definitely weren't running. They just sucked up so much energy, and Andrew's been overseeing that project. It's been about between $50,000 and $60,000, which came from grants. And the last step is 5-door, right? The 5-door freezer, which is the one where the little ice cream was being held, and that thing that shuts down all the time. Recycling, I love this part. Those who live in Oregon know Oregon is very green. We're very green with our trees and all, but also in Portland, we're particularly, we're kind of a hippie city, you know. We like to be green and cool and all those things. You saw stacks of food waste that was going to the pigs, chickens, cows, goat farmers. We have every kind of animal farmer that you can use. You saw the baler where we put all of our cardboard. We gather all of our cardboard, bale it, and we sell it. That averages about $520 a month. We recycle metal, recycle paper, we recycle clothing. So all the clothing upstairs that you saw, that's just what we keep. We get a lot of clothing donations. A lot of it isn't good. And we sort it, and what's unusable or out of season is sold. That averages about $1,800 a month. Our pallets, we get lots of pallets, we go through them, sort them out, stack them up. We get about $670 a month in pallets. Our total average per month recycling income last year, from June 2011 to June 2012, was $2,600 a month in recycling costs, in recycling income. Pretty amazing, huh? We are sustainable through our relationship with our community, and we have a reciprocal arrangement with these types of organizations. You saw the agencies there. I lovingly refer to them as a motley crew. They are. They are. Because it's quite a selection. There are food pantries, church food closets, veteran support groups, rescue missions, rehab programs, lots of different rehab programs. And it's really fun most of the time to work with them. We have a reciprocal arrangement with quite a few where they share with us and we share with them, and that works well. But if they don't have the potential to share product, then they pay their $50 a month, and it works well for everyone. I'm going to fly through some of this. Here's some key components of establishing an organized, well-run nonprofit, beginning with the mission statement. The mission statement of any organization succinctly describes its big purpose and directs its future decisions in a short, concise statement. That's hard, isn't it? Great care should be made on adopting an accurate, meaningful mission statement that can actually be realized. If your mission is too obscure or generalized, it can't be followed. Think small, but be ready to grow. You need to focus on what is your purpose or objective, who will you serve geographically, who will be your participants within that region, and what are your expected outcomes. The mission statement drives all objectives of the organization, all procedures, forms, and schedules. So staying on target, it's so easy to get watered down. You have to keep coming back to that. What are we about? What's our target group? Who are we? And let that be the grid through which you run everything else. Board of Directors' role and importance. You have some handouts in your book that just talk about general responsibilities. These are not what we gave our board members, but are just a couple of examples that you can look at. Very valuable to look at, and most of our board fits those. BCS has been amazingly, phenomenally successful because we have unwavering dedication in our leadership and our staff and our board members. I keep saying that. I will say it over and over again. Our staff are amazing. Our board members are amazing. You met Mark Childs last night. Without strong, visionary leadership, well-meaning organizations and programs fail. Wise men seek wise counsel. So we just really want to keep asking people who know more than us. That's what our board is all about. Barry and I basically, we've learned a lot in these last 20 years. And we have, both of us have a good business sense. You know, we can run a business. We've worked in business before and done fairly well at that. But there's so much we didn't know. I mean, I just am right there with so many of you that, okay? All right, was there something else that I can help with? Okay. So, yes, your comment was exactly right. Strong leadership is important. You're only as good as your leadership. I also have to say you're only as good as your staff, right? You have really nice people in your leadership, great board members, and really bad staff. That's not true with us. We have really wonderful both. And leadership must have a willingness to work long hours every day of the week. It's a 24/7 endeavor when you're doing something, starting something like this. It still is 24/7 for Barry and I. So you need to ask yourself, how can you do this? Will you be able to pay your bills while you're establishing your program? And be realistic and truthful about that. And your leadership must be dependable. You need to know that they're going to be there when you need them. Financials and budgets. When Mark Child says we're a $10 million corporation, you can see the biggest part of that is the in-kind donations. But we started out, we didn't make money for years. And Barry and I lived on our other jobs and worked this. Eventually, when we got to the point where we had to kind of fish or cut bait, Barry called it. And he went to the board and he said, I'm gonna need to make a little money or else I can't do this. I'm gonna have to get like a real job. And so they started to pay him $2,000 a month. And that was really nice. But that was, we'd been doing it for 5 years at that point. So, you know, can you think of that as not making any money for 5 years? Yeah. Some people can do it. God enabled us to do it. But you need to think about that and be realistic about it. You don't want to get halfway into it and go, oh, this isn't going to work. So no matter how small you are, you'll probably need to have funding of some amount to keep your program going. Yes, ma'am?
I just wanted to say for people who are looking into starting a nonprofit, we started our nonprofit about 3 years ago, and as a staff, we probably just started getting regular paychecks about 3 months ago.
Yeah. It takes time. Thank you.
Sold our cars and everything.
Thank you, Tony.
To do that.
Mhm.
It does take time, so just be patient.
So facility, initially we're doing it on our front porch, then we did it in our garage. You probably have read The House of David, or you will read The House of David, which is the story of how we got our home, which enabled us to not have to pay any money for a facility for well over 3 years. That was pretty valuable for us. And Barry and I do have a no debt policy, so we didn't want to compromise. When we talk about compromising, we didn't want to compromise on the no debt policy at all. So I think the first amount of rent we paid when we moved after 3 years was $1,000 a month, and then it was about $5,000, and now it's about $11,000 a month. Staffing, nobody got paid until about 1995, 96 when Barry started getting that little paycheck. And you're going to need stuff. I mean, you're going to need shrink wrap or computers. When we began, I did everything by hand in a notebook, as did Barry. Everything, it'd be hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe. Everything. It was just, with a computer now, it's so fun. It's like easy. All right, and look to see who can support you in this beginning phase. A church or grants, larger nonprofits. Maybe you can partner with them. An important part of our budget is our insurance budget. We like to cover ourselves, and insurance is ridiculous. Our budget this year for insurance, this fiscal year, is $59,000 insurance costs. Don't tell Barry. He doesn't want to know that. But I'm the one who wants insurance on everything, because that's who I am. I'm the super careful safety neurotic, and that makes me feel secure. But it's so important. And so we had our insurance guy make a list for you of the types of insurance that you're going to need to look for. Facility insurance, health insurance, vehicle insurance, D&O, directors and officers insurance. For your board, you want them to be protected. There's a lot of different insurances you need to cover. Okay, oftentimes the service program fails because they are disorganized. I'm assuming all of you are very organized because you're here and you're looking for direction, but I know you also know nonprofits that are just disorganized. They fall apart all the time because people have the heart, but they don't have the knowledge or the ability to keep things together. A general lack of communication is kind of where that happens. Just trying to put things together, your procedures, forms, schedules can be the downfall of well-meaning ideas, which is why we tried to give you some basics to start with. If you wanted to do something like this, we want to give you all the knowledge we have. So in your objectives, you need to flesh out and explain and have a clear mission statement and be specific and reasonable and know your target group as you get started. You need to ask yourself, how should the operation look? How much time per week are we going to spend on this? Where's the best location? Do you need staff? Can you begin with just volunteers, which is what we did for years? If so, what are the job descriptions? Let people know what they're supposed to do. And you have people, and when that's not clear, people step all over each other. You have misunderstandings, there's conflict. We don't want conflict. We want to be happy. What kinds of basic materials do you need? If you don't have a big warehouse like ours, you're not going to need a forklift, but you'll probably need hand trucks. That kind of thing, basic things. Schedules and forms. Can they be copied? You can copy any of ours. You can use anything we have there that's of value to you. All of our release forms have been designed and approved by our attorney. But you may need to tweak them. Feel free, tweak them. But anything we have that you can copy. You might want to make them more streamlined or more generic.
I also think possibly for different states would have different laws too, so you'd want to look in and double check maybe with your own attorney.
Exactly right.
You have to look it over, because I know even across in Washington we're different. Flipped in both.
You're right.
Differences.
All right, and then you need to think about how you're going to evaluate your program. What's going to make it work for you? And review those regularly with your staff, with your little core group. Go back and evaluate. I very much value the input from our staff. They're the ones that are serving these people, and they come with the best ideas all the time. They really are fantastic in that way. So listen to them, and also listen to others. Yes, Marcia?
Do you get feedback or any evaluation from your families?
Yeah, we do. We used to ask or provide a survey form for them to fill out. We decided to discontinue that when they said, move the clothing downstairs, get a bigger parking lot, things like that. Things that weren't changeable. We found that we weren't getting that much practical evaluation response from them, and so we just quit asking that in that manner. But they come to us often. We'll say, give us some ideas about this, and they'll respond. We communicate with our participants.
Talking about the count value forms.
It's down the line, honey.
The feedback, there's comments that come from that.
Yeah.
They can answer that question, and they can respond on that form.
Yeah, it's we'll get to that. So
Tomorrow.
no. Yeah. So basically, BCS operates as a team effort. There are no Lone Rangers here. Nobody is a star. I keep saying that. I think they're all stars, but nobody is like the big wazoo, and we all do what needs to be done. Whatever needs to be done, we just step in. Anybody. We don't focus on titles. Putting the seminar together here was a prime example. You seeing everybody step in and do something. That's really good. We're really sad that Daryl and Lynn aren't able to be here today because Daryl's had some really bad back issues, and he was in a lot of pain yesterday when he was at work. So he's not able to be here, but some of our full-time staff they're just incredible in the way they work together. Knowing your back is covered at all times by the people you work with is priceless. To know